Yes. Chelsea, thank you. Okay. So Chelsea managed to do it. She renamed themselves. The others can also please try and rename yourself and be starting in a few minutes. I'm so excited. Give us a few minutes to get people coming in. Looks like it's going to be a very exclusive meeting. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Starting in just 30 seconds. Great. Kajal, shall we start?
Yes, Bhuvna.
Okay, great, and welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from, and welcome to this exclusive webinar. Now, this is turning out to be an exclusive webinar, and I know these are very difficult times, lockdown and COVID, and there's a pandemic, and there's a lot of things happening around you, but you guys are so awesome. Just that you turned up here on a Saturday afternoon shows how important you think talking about money is, or how you feel for your own well-being and your family's well-being. I'm so honored to be talking to you today. So let me just play this for you. Can you hear me? Can you see me? There is a chat box. So please say a little hi so I know that you're there and you can hear me. Can you hear me? Just put in a little hi message there. Hi messages. Yeah, can you hear? Yes, yes. Okay. Likesh. Okay, great. Okay, good. Great. So I can see you. You can see me. I cannot see you. I can hear me. Great. So we get going with the session. I'm so excited. Just a little bit of context setting that we'll do here is that money is a great enabler. We all understand that. It gives you choices. It opens doors for you. It gives you courage to take very important decisions. If you have enough money, you can actually design the life the way you want, to spend time the way you want without having to worry about whether you'll have enough or not have enough. Having said that, that remains a dream for many people. Today, given the current situation or even otherwise, cash flows are a problem. The EMI is a sword that's hanging on the head all the time. There's no control over the expenses. So life pretty much feels like a maze. You don't know which way you're heading. There are just very tall, insurmountable walls all around you. You don't know whether you should take the right or the left or jump over it, right? So I understand this predicament when it comes to money, and more so in times like this. And this is a very small attempt that we made from Plan to Prosper to try and bring some sanity and give that a slightly higher view of the maze and see which way you can potentially head. This is our little contribution we thought we'll learn and share in this lockdown. So if we haven't met, here's a quick introduction. My name is Bhuvna Sriram. I am a certified financial planner and a wealth manager. I am founder CEO of Plan to Prosper. So I've been in financial services for almost 15 years now, and I worked for companies like the Tatas, the Sundarams, and a few other boutique wealth management firms before I started Plan to Prosper about 3.5 years back. I primarily wanted to do the right things for my clients without the pressure of sales or numbers. So that was my longing to contribute. I live in Thane near Mumbai. This is our family, and I'm a teacher, a vlogger, and an avid reader. So that's a little bit about me. And money has been a subject that's always intrigued me. Anand says he cannot hear my voice. Anand, do you want to, can others hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Bhuvna.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay, good. Anand, maybe you just, figure that out on your computer. Okay, so money is a topic that's always intrigued me. Money is a very funny thing. We constantly keep giving out money messages, but we don't talk about money. We don't feel very comfortable talking about money to family or to friends, and that's always a taboo topic. Not in families. That's not a very comfortable conversation to have at all. But At every possible instance, we keep giving out money information, like in what we wear, what mobile phone we carry, which car we drive, where we hang out, which school our children go to, where we live, right? Or where we will not go, where we will never shop, right? So we're constantly giving out money messages, but money is something that we don't talk about. So there's a lot of very fine layers of money relationships that people have. And this topic has always intrigued me. And I wondered, why is it that some people always get it right with money? How is it they are the lucky investors? How is it that everything that they touch is Midas touch? It just works for them. While some people, how much ever hard they work, it simply doesn't work for them. Something or the other goes wrong all the time. And this is something I've been intrigued about. And in my experience of working for 15 years with people of different types, I've been up close witnessing what is it that makes some people very good with money. Okay, that is those lessons are something that I'm very keen to share in the next 40 minutes. That is exactly what we want to share with you. 7 things financially successful people, stories from my own life and from my client's life is what we plan to share. What is it that they do successfully to achieve financial freedom? So are you excited to hear about it? A few things that is inside information. People that the way their mind works, the way they think they do, and what you could potentially do. And for those of you who like to take action, I have something at the end, so hang in there, right? So are you good to go? I have a few questions. There might be some polls, so if you can interact and if you can change your names, that'd be awesome, right? Okay, good, amazing. So typically when people are forced or, they are faced with this issue about money, when they're trying to fix their financial life, they face 3 hurdles, okay? Hurdle number 1 is that they don't have time. Okay, they are busy, they are working professionals, they have hobbies, they have children, they have families, and this and that. It's all pulling them here and there. Money needs focus, attention, time, and that is in short supply, right? That is a very common obstacle. Number 2, it's not something that's interesting. I'd rather play a video game or maybe shop somewhere rather than learn something about money. I don't have an inclination to learn it. I'm just bored, right? Do anything about money. That's another obstacle. And the other one is that we don't know where to start. I don't know who is the right person to go and ask, right? So I always meet people and looks like they have a hidden agenda, right? Are they talking the right things to me? So my roads are closed. I don't know where to go. Okay, so these are some very common frustrations I hear people say when they talk about money. So if you can just share in your chat box, what kind of frustrations have you had with managing your own money? I'm keen to know. What kind of frustrations have you had with money? Has it been the lack of time, or has it been you don't know who to trust, or just made some mistakes and burnt my fingers and don't want to go there anymore? Or it simply doesn't work for me, this whole, just let it be, I just want to flow. So what is it? What kind of frustrations have you had with managing money? Okay, you made mistakes, once bitten and twice shy, right? So I know you made mistakes. I don't want to go there again. Yeah, although you have to fix this, right? Money is a key commodity. For some strange reason, they don't teach us about money in schools and colleges. And I think that's a big issue. Lack of knowledge and fear of making mistakes. Yes, yeah, the fear of making mistakes. I hear you. I totally hear you. And I'm a big believer that life is no rehearsal. Everything is a final act. So you just get one chance. But it's okay. So there's no other way of learning except for making mistakes. Yeah. Anything else? So the 2 Rajshris who are here, who appear as Rajshri, we can change your names. That'd be nice. Any other frustrations that you have had with money, right? As you put your thoughts together, let me share some part of my own story, right? I started I started working in 2002, and I made the classic mistake of everybody in that generation, right? Passed out with an education loan and immediately bought a house within the next 2 years, got married, bought a car, and at one point in time I was serving a education loan, a car loan, a home loan, and some amount of personal loans, right? And no pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. This month's salary has to come for me to survive. And it was one day when there was a little emergency that we had to take the mother-in-law to a hospital, and I had no money in the bank to pay for the admission, right? I had to use my credit card. And that's when it really hit me that despite being, a management graduate and working in a very good company at that point in time, earning handsome salaries for that point, both of us, running a good career, still don't have money, right? So that really hit me, saying, I need to fix this. This is not the way things should be. And I went pillar to post to find out more about money. I didn't know who to talk to. So, I mean, I'm talking back in 2004, there were not many options which advised in the right way. Invariably, some LIC uncle selling some LIC policy, or the banks trying to put us through some fixed deposits or some ULIPs. So that was all that was available. And that's when I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you've picked that book. Right? If you haven't, you please read it. That book gave me sleepless nights. It really opened my mind to various things, and it really gave me an insight as to how is it that the rich people view money. Okay, how is it that they make decisions about money? How are they looking at income, expenses, and assets, liabilities? So is it anything different from what I'm doing? And that was like a light bulb moment in my life. And from there, what started as a passion to fix my own life became a profession. I qualified, did my certified financial planning, and the rest has been an exciting journey of learning. So here I am glad to share with you, certain things that you can do if you're on lockdown, if you're from that part of the world where COVID is still raging, and you're still in lockdown, and you want to be doing something more productive with your time. This is a great opportunity to fix a few things about your personal finances in the next couple of weeks, and get going and make that beginning, because when you walk out of your homes after COVID, I'm sure it's going to be a completely different world, and the way you view money is going to be very different, right? The need for emergency planning is felt, and options to invest are going to be very different. So it's going to be very interesting. So here I'm going to be sharing with you a few things that you can do in the next couple of weeks that can permanently reset your financial life. So are you excited to know? I'm sure you are. Okay, it's okay, right? So number one, can you find out innovative ways to make more with existing resources? Okay, so I have this very simple question. Where does your money come from? What is your source of income? So you can just put it on the chat box. What is your source of income? When I ask people, they say things like, my job, my salary, my boss, my clients give me money, right? So these are things that they say as if money is something that comes from outside. It's something that that's an outside resource, and it comes and falls on your lap, right? So my question is simply this: money is not something that's coming from outside. Money is an exchange of energy that comes in return for something that you are contributing. So when I say my clients give me money, they're not giving me money because they like me, they like my face, or they like to hear me. No, they're giving me money because of some value that I'm bringing in their life, right? Some capability that I'm bringing on the table that's helping them solve some problems, right? So the source of money is something that you have within you, a resource that already exists within you. So some basic resources that you already had, you had time, you had some basic intelligence, your parents put you through some college, you acquired some knowledge, right? And you converted all of these resources that you already had into a little skill, maybe some software development skill or some analysis skill, which you sold to your employers, who in return paid you money. So just consider the situation of losing money. I mean, losing your job, right? All that happens is you've lost a customer for your services. You've lost a customer for your skills. You have to just find another customer. The skill doesn't go away, right? The resource doesn't go away. The asset that you have created based on your resources don't really go away. Now, this is a very, very powerful thought, a reset in your thinking process that can open up huge potential income sources, which I've seen happen with many of my clients and with people who've done, who've been with us in the webinar and in the courses in the past, right? So I give you a few examples. So there was Priya in the session, in the previous batch, and then she came up with this brilliant idea of saying she's got some exceptional skills on designing, and she had a friend who who were trading in sari. She lives in Dubai, and she's got a huge set of Indian friends, right? So they've now started a very interesting hand printed sari business, right? Her son, who's still a student, has started earning extra money doing online classes for piano. I've known of another friend of mine, Chitra. She's got two children, two young children. She's got a house full of toys. So when we were doing this exercise, so we do something called an enabled budgeting process, where we try and identify the resources that you already have and putting them together in such a way that you can potentially create an income source, right? So she's created a very interesting idea of the little children, an extra room, a house full of toys and books. Okay, now you can imagine what she could potentially come up with. She's starting something like an activity center for children of that age group in her society, right? So interesting, innovative ways in which you can create additional income sources that will give you happiness. Why is it important to go within to search for these resources? And why don't you just go out? So if you go out there, say passive income sources, go to Google, you'll get a lot of crappy ideas. No, that's not what I'm trying to say here. So do not go out to search for opportunities to earn money. Look for within. Right? When you go within, you're willing to go that extra mile, and it is in that extra mile that there is no traffic and there is money. Okay, so we do something called an empowered budgeting activity, an enabled budgeting activity, which helps you identify various resources that you have within you that can be converted into an asset and a potential income source, right? So if you game to thinking in these directions, you might like what we have to share at the end of the session, but this might have already given you some idea on how to go about thinking about this, right? Do you think this is making any sense to you? Just give me some feedback, that'd be nice. Is this making sense to you? Think within, identify resources that you have, create assets with the resources that you can put together and create income sources. Is that making sense? Okay. Yes, okay. So LJ says, yes, that's making sense now. Good, that's great. So we work more on that part in a little while. One part of your income expense statement is your income. Now you can create multiple income sources. One of the very key things that Robert Kiyosaki says is that you create multiple income sources, and that's something that we will work on. Another thing is in your bucket. If you have multiple taps leaking, your bucket never fills up, right? So can you have better strategies to meet your needs? So I have a very simple question to all of you. There is a poll there. How many of you can, let me launch this poll for you and see what you have to say. How many of you can have a conversation with your partner about your spending patterns, okay? And be sure that it won't end badly. Where did you spend your money? So you're looking at your credit card statement, you're looking at your expenses for the last month, you're having a conversation with your partner, and how many of you can say that it won't end badly? How many of you can be confident that this conversation is going very well? I'm going to get dinner tonight. How many of you can confidently say that? Very interesting. Okay, so many of you seem you're very confident about it. That's awesome. Okay, so personally for me, I can't have this conversation at all. So it's very, very difficult for me to have this conversation about money with my partner. I'll tell you why. How do I close this poll? Okay. So I'll give you an example that'd be interesting for you, okay? So this is, we were doing this conversation with my husband, and we were looking at the credit card statements, and one important item in the credit card statement was Starbucks expenditure, okay? So you have to understand this context. So he goes to work at BKC, and that's like about an hour and a half from home, and there is a very beautiful Starbucks outlet in his office. I mean, of course, this is pre-lockdown times, and that's like a favorite hangout spot for people in that area, and he likes to hang out there. I mean, I understand that, but a 7,000-8,000 rupees expenditure on every month for a a middle class family, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of coffee to consume, also not good for health either, right? So we were having this conversation about this expenditure item, and typically what happens when we talk about these expenses or we need for budgeting, that's one reason why I really hate budgeting, is the whole budgeting activity, the way it's traditionally done, is very judgmental. It tries to tell you these are needs, you have to spend on them. These are some wants, you should not spend on them, or you should reduce your expenditure. These are all desires, you should completely give up all kind of desires. Right? So something like that is not going to work, okay? I mean, who really likes to give up on all the fun things in life, right? If anybody has had any knowledge of Maslow's theory of hierarchy, you would understand that every want or everything is a need at some level. It might be a basic security need, or it might be, a self-esteem need, but it's still a need, right? So this is a realization saying there's nothing called a need and a want, and you don't differentiate expenses like that. That's everything is a need. I'm sure there's a reason why somebody wants to spend their money. So this is the conversation we were having, and in the normal circumstances, this could have blown out of proportion, and we could have said, why are you spending on this? You would have got defensive, and we would have had a ugly conversation, right? So with this knowledge, we just stepped behind. I like, why are you spending this money? What is the need that this is helping you meet? And this conversation was very interesting. We were having this, and she said, is it the coffee? I mean, do you need so much coffee? It's like, no, I'm not really that much into coffee, but it's the fun of going out and hanging out with friends in a non-office scenario, right? In a non-official scenario. I like to hang out in a more friendly space and makes connections, right? I mean, he's the connector. He likes hanging out with people, which is like a basic need. This is something you have to do. And also in Bombay, we have small cubicles of offices. So it's always nice to go out and get some fresh air. So those are all basic needs, right? I would need that too, right? So instead of looking at the expenditure of Starbucks as an expenditure or as a unwanted expenditure, as a desire, as a lifestyle thing, and that you have to dish it, we started looking at it slightly differently, saying this is a need. That is a need that this particular expenditure meets. Now, what I need is not to dish out this need and rubbish it. What I need here is really a strategy to handle this need better. Okay, can I look at this way? Okay, going out with friends is good. It's a great idea. Getting some fresh air is something that you definitely need. So how can you handle this better? Is there a balcony in the office that you can hang out? Can you brew your coffee can you have coffee machine in your desk? You have a room, so I can get you the most elitist coffee beans, and then can you brew it in your place and then take it to your friend's place? Can you just agree on going Dutch sometimes with your friends? So we actually got into a conversation that made a lot more sense and it is implementable, right? So more often than not, when you're doing a budgeting exercise, you don't want it to hold your hands and legs tight and constrict you and feel terrible about it. And that's when most budgeting activities fail, right? So when you step back and you start looking at, okay, these are expenses that meet certain basic needs. Now, is there a better way to handle this need? Can I use better strategies to handle these needs? So when we do, a budgeting, and when we look at various expenses and needs that they meet, these brilliant ideas come up. Okay, I'll give you more examples of how this has been implemented by some of my, friends and clients in the process, right? So is this making sense to you? Looking at expenses very differently, not doing budgeting with very traditional way, but doing it in a more empowered way, right? You're feeling in control. Is this making sense to you? If yes, then I'm moving on to the next one, which we are going to talk about cash flow management system. So there are expenses, there are incomes. Now managing this is like the whole jing bang, right? There is, what they say is, it's very embarrassing to say it, because the first primary only condition to build wealth is that you have to earn more than you spend, or you have to spend less than you earn. So cash flow management is the basis of everything. Now, I want to share something interesting with you here. Now, this is a year-end report of portfolio in Indian rupees of a client of mine with whom I've been working for the last 4.5 years, right? So he became a client in 2016, and we started off with a basic investment of 12.8 lakhs. Forget the investment part. I'm just showing you one part of his financial life, right? So his investments are one part, of course, his loans are the other, his goals are the other, his insurances are the other. But here we're just looking at one part, which is the wealth growth part, right? So he started off in 2017. This is a real life case. I can't tell you who it is, but I mean, obviously these are real numbers, right? So investments were 1281, market value of those investments were 15 lakhs. And then the next year, 15 lakhs became 94 lakhs, and then became 104 crores. And then, and 145 crores. And at the end of March, when we're looking at the portfolio and COVID had already ravaged markets, he lost some money, but that's all right. Look at the growth in 5 years, right? A 10 times growth. 15 lakhs becoming something like 1.5 crores, a 10 times growth in the portfolio. And so, it's clients like these that really intrigue me, and saying, how is it that they're getting it right? How is it that their wealth is growing 10 times? What is it that they're doing right? Right. So, and it's interesting that when he is from a background that's a media background, so they get sudden money, which is all I understand. But the point is that I do work with many of his colleagues as well, and they kind of earn the same amount of money, but they don't make this kind of wealth. Right? Their lifestyle demands a certain expenditure pattern. I know you would understand that. What is it that he is doing differently? Now, this is very interesting. This is something that I do as well, and my son does with his pocket money. Okay, so this is what we call a 6-jar money management system. You might have heard of this. This is from a person propounded by a person called T. Harv Eker in his book called Millennium Mindset. So you can look it up. It's very interesting. So I've been totally inspired by this particular cash management system, where every single paycheck is distributed across various jars. So you have some money that's kept aside for your expenses, there's some money that's kept aside for your luxury, lifestyle, have fun money, and then there's specifically money always kept aside for financial freedom and for long-term goals, right? And very importantly, if you look at the middle jar, we talk about education and self-improvement. So there is specific money that's kept aside for self-improvement. What happens with this is that the whole pie starts growing. And the whole pie, if you're earning like 100 rupees, you put in more 10 rupees to your self-improvement, the 100 rupees becomes 200 rupees. Right, the whole pie grows. So your contribution to each of the jars also grow, and you stay at this consistently. That is one system where I have seen the money management or 6-jar money management system helping people get out of loans much faster, get to financial freedom faster, get to their goals of building a house faster, right? So this is actually a magical system, and it's helped me become financially free from where I started. What I was telling you about living paycheck to paycheck, to quitting my full-time corporate job and doing things the way I want to do. Right. So this is a magical system which you can integrate in your cash flow management system, and how you do your budgeting, and keep a tab of it. So what gets measured gets achieved. So the 6-jar money management system is something that you can straight away go out and implement. Right. So is this making sense to you? The money management system, the cash management system. So whatever else you do or not, if you just take this away, saying every single paycheck, I'm going to distribute it. This is something that even our grandparents were doing, right? Just that they didn't think of education and self-improvement and giving and charity and all of that stuff. But that's something that we can all afford to do, right? So is this making sense to you? Should we move on to the next thing? Yeah. Okay. One of the Rakshis is saying yes. Yes. Okay, great. Right. So education and self-improvement is the differentiator. Okay, is the differentiator. So great. Now, so you've got some assets, you have income, you have expenses, you've done excellent cash management. Now, what do you do with the money? Right? Where do you invest? Right? So these are some basic investment principles, right? So I've seen many people do these investments. Okay. So real life example. Yesterday we were talking to a client, and they were talking about a particular investment option where you pay X amount of money, like 1 lakh of rupees, and from starting next month you will start getting 1,800 rupees. Right? So that works out to something like a 20% return in the first year. And you look at the cash flows that the agent is giving. It works out to something like 19% return on investments in the 6 years. And this was astounding astounding, right? I was shocked myself saying, really 19%, where is it coming from? Risk-free return is 5.5% in India, right? So if you put the money in your bank, you'll get something like 3.5%, 4%. Now, how are you getting 19% returns? And this kind of stomped me till I went back to calculating the actual internal rate of return. Now, so understanding basic investment principles is a skill that I think will make a huge world of difference. Now, we actually saved client from making a 20 lakh annual expenditure every year, and putting money in, a crore worth of money, and getting stuck for the next 99 years, right? By doing some basic understanding of investments and principles. Right. So here I'm going to share with you a few things that we do, what to look for in an investment. When a client comes and says, okay, I have this money, now help me invest this money. What is it that we are what is it that you have to look for, right? So my question has been very simple, right? Okay. So my question has been very simple. I say, what are you investing for? Why not just spend all the money? What is it that you're investing for? Invariably, people come back and say, I have needs. I need money in future. I need to be financially free. I need to create wealth. I have children, right? So, which is all very valid. Now, look at it internally. Look at your life and see if this makes sense to you. What do you look for in an investment? There are 5 things that you look for in an investment. Number 1, you look for returns, obviously, right? So you look for what is the return that investment is giving you. Now, the return that this investment that we were talking about, giving 19%, which was bullshit. Sorry for using that word, because what you have to understand is not absolute returns, but IRR. IRR is the number that you look for when you make a return understanding. Okay, so what is the internal rate of return of the investment? Every single investment option that you have there, you can look up the IRR. So you understand the cash outflows, you understand the cash inflows, put it on Excel, you will have the IRR. Okay, so understand what is the return that your investment is giving. And remember that you need a return that beats inflation. What is your personal inflation? What is the return on this investment? The only reason you're even putting money aside is to be able to maintain your lifestyle, and your lifestyle has a cost. Your investment should help you beat that cost. Okay, so returns from your investments have to be more than your basic inflation. But especially the investment that we were talking about yesterday, the 19% actually gave an IRR of 4.08%. Okay, now that is nowhere close to the client's inflation, and that was a decision that he or she made to dump that particular investment. So returns is something that you look for. Number 2, like how another friend here is saying, capital protection, right? So we're talking about risks. What are the risks involved? Now, just because it's giving 19% return, just because it's giving 25%, will you go and put your money in there? What is the worst that can happen? So remember, risk-free return in India is 3.5%, 4%. If you want a 6% return, if you want an 8% return, remember you want 100% more return. 100% over risk-free return. Now, when you want 100% over risk-free return, what is the risk that you're taking? You can't avoid risk. Okay, risk is there in everything. You go on the road, there is risk. Okay, there's the risk of an accident, the risk of police catching you, right? So there is risk in everything. But the point is, you cannot avoid risk, but you can manage the risk. But first thing, you have to understand the risk. So you ask people, you ask whoever's coming and presenting this to you, what is the worst that can happen? Can I lose my capital? Is it possible that this money will not come? Is it some guaranteed income? What is the worst that can happen? Right? Understand the risk involved. Don't just sign the dotted line just because somebody's saying something. Okay. Number 3, liquidity. Right. So the third one is liquidity. How long will it take for me to take the money out? Now, this particular investment had a liquidity or 99 years. Okay, till this person becomes 99 years, and if the person survives, is when this money will come back to them. Now, you're saving, and she's saying that she's investing for her daughter. Her daughter is 8 years old, and 10 years later, she's going to need this money, but this money is going to come 99 years later or 59 years later, because she's already 40 years old, right? It's going to come at that point in time. What purpose is it going to serve? right? So understanding the liquidity of that particular investment. How difficult is it for me to liquidate this money? My money, my hard-earned money, my tax-paid money, I'm putting it in an investment. How easy or difficult is it for me to take the money out? Of course, some investments will have lock-in periods. Just that you have to ensure that the liquidity profile of the investment and your personal liquidity needs match. If you need money in 5 years, you make an investment that does not have a lock-in of more than 4.5 years. Right? You need money in 10 years, you adjust your liquidity accordingly, right? So that's like basic common sense, right? You don't make a PPF investment for 15 years maturity when your child is already 10 years and you need the money in the next 7-8 years. Okay, so liquidity requirement of that particular investment is another very important criteria you'll have to look for before you sign on the dotted line. The fourth one is the ease of maintenance. I mean, you don't want trouble. Okay, so how easy is it for me to monitor, to maintain that particular investment? There are a lot of investments which is very difficult to maintain. The cost of maintenance is more than the kind of return that that particular investment will give you. Just try buying some residential property somewhere and giving it out on rent, right? You will understand what I'm saying. The cost of maintenance or the ease of maintenance, somebody calling you all the time saying this is leaking, that is leaking, right? So that is not something that you want to do. You want to live in a house, that's another thing. But the ease of maintenance of a particular investment, you buy blocks of gold and keep it in your house. How easy is it to maintain? How easy is it for you to lock the house and go on a holiday, right? So it's very important for you to consider the ease of maintenance of that investment. And the last one is the cost and the taxation. How much it does give you a tax benefit when you invest? What is the tax consideration when you take the money out, right? What are taxes for the incomes that you earn in the meantime, right? Understanding taxation. So all things being the same, you will look for an investment that is low cost and low tax. Okay, so these are primarily 5 things that you look for before making any investment. Does this make sense to you? So whatever else you take away from this 40-45 minutes of our conversation or not, please take this away. Please don't sign on the dotted line without asking these questions. What is the risk? What is the return? Tell me what is, what is the worst that can happen? When will this mature? How difficult is it for me to take the money out? And how easy, and what is the tax consideration? Is this making sense to you? Can you simply go back there and look for this in your investments before making any investment decisions? Can you make it a point to please ask for these things for whoever's coming and explaining the investment option to you? So don't go there and blindly make those investments, right? Almost every financial decision, 90% of financial decisions, they say, are emotionally taken. Right? They are taken based on emotion. Somebody comes and tells you, oh, for your daughter, for your child, they will be fine and all of that stuff. So you make those decisions and then you rationalize it, right? Just put that little away. Just look at your life from, a slightly higher plane and see how these things pan out before you make that decision. Okay. Next one, very important here is the insurances. So what kind of insurances do you have? Now, COVID in India, if you have to be hospitalized for some strange reason, getting out of the hospital is going to put you back by 10 lakh rupees. Okay, so that's the kind of, we're in the middle of a pandemic, people understand insurances right now, but do you know what are the benefits in your insurance policy? Let me give you an example. So I had a client based in Dubai, basically from Kerala, and he'd sold a piece of property, he had some money to invest, and we were doing the financial plan, and I specifically asked him, do you have money, you have a mother who's dependent on you, do you have money kept aside for any emergencies, for any medical emergency? So the idea was the money that he had from sale of property, some of it was to go to emergencies and the rest of it can be invested. So he said, no, I have insurance. So this insurance I've been having for a long time. I'm keeping that insurance. Close to 10 lakh insurance is there. That will do. Right. So we invested all of the money. Now, as luck would have it, his mother had to go through a bypass surgery in the year. And, he was very confident. He said, no problem, 10 lakh insurance will cover and all that. And when the bill came and when he had to actually discharge the mother, he had to pay out of his pocket something like, the bill came to about 8.5 lakhs. And he had to out of his pocket pay close to 2 odd lakhs. Right. So, I mean, this came as a complete surprise to him. And there was a particular covenant in the insurance policy that says the moment the insured's life, the age crosses 65, the co-pay, there is a particular, a thing called co-pay, where your co-pay becomes 20% of the premium, the total claim amount. So there is a condition called co-pay condition, right? So now, had he only looked at his insurance policies and understood what is the benefit, what are the features of this particular policy, then we would have managed to keep that money aside. right? For emergencies, kept stacked away some money for emergency purposes. Now he had to use his credit card and then end up getting into that particular loan, right? So that's not something that you want to end up doing. So please understand the benefits and the fine print in your insurance policy, right? These are very common fine prints in the insurance policy. One is you understand all the exclusions, right? There are a lot of the illnesses that are excluded. Now please understand what are excluded in insurance policy. If you already have health insurance policy, please go back, open your boxes, take those policies out, read the fine print. Okay, this is a great help you'll be doing yourself and your family in this lockdown period, right? So what are the exclusions? What is the waiting period for a policy? Even if you're taking a policy now, you have typically a 30-day waiting period to make any kind of claim, a 2-year to 4-year waiting period for certain illnesses. Please understand what are waiting periods on your policy. The next one is the copay. Okay, copay is a percentage of expense that you incur that has to be borne by you. It's like part of the risk is borne by you, right? So that is a copay. Does your policy have any copay condition? Okay. Then the sublimits. So do you have any sublimits? Is there any limit on how much you can spend for the doctor's fees? How much you can spend on the bedroom rent, right? So you don't go and book a suite when your insurance allows you only to take a double room, right? So understand sublimits on your policy and understand if there are any special coverages, right? So this is and understand what are the conditions and benefits in those insurance policies. Is this making sense to you? Yeah, is this making sense? Great. Okay, so we're coming almost to the last part. So we spoke about income, expenses, cash flows. We spoke about investments. We spoke about, insurance. The last one is where you please revisit. If you've not prepared a plan, prepare one. If you've already prepared one, revisit and update your financial plan. So like they say, if there's a flight that's taking off from Mumbai and going towards Dubai, right? How is it that it lands in Dubai at the right time and doesn't go and land somewhere in Lebanon, right? Because for 90% of the time, apparently, the flight remains off course because there are winds, there are changes that happen in the circumstances, in the flying circumstances. Every time the pilot gets this feedback from the external environment and veers and gets the aircraft back into the course, right? So staying on course is a very, very important part of your financial exercise. So it's not a financial plan or an activity that you do. It's not a one-time activity. It's not like, okay, I've run the marathon, so for the rest of my life, I don't have to do any fitness. It doesn't work that way. A marathon is okay. It's one activity, but you've got to stay fit all your life, right? So if you have prepared a plan, maybe you want to revisit and update your financial plan. I'd like to share something with you here, which is the, I'm sorry, the financial freedom roadmap for working professionals. So we love working with working professionals. I understand salaried professionals once. Now, I've been a salaried professional myself. My family, my husband is a salaried professional. My family, everybody's been working professionals, right? So I understand that mindset well. And the financial freedom roadmap is something that, we pride on the way it's done. And this is something that you can understand and pick a few things from here. Right? So you are financially free. So whatever people come to us for, right? So they say, okay, I have a lot of loans. I want to get out of those loans, or I have some money, help me invest that money. But what we want for our clients is that they become financially free. Okay. So financial freedom, where you have the freedom to spend the time that you have in a way that it really matters. Because I'm a big believer that life is not a rehearsal. Everything is the final act. And, time is the only constraint. It's the only limited resource. Otherwise, we live in a world of abundance, no problem. But time is, we all come with a specific expiry date. So the time is the only restricting factor, only constraint in the whole scheme of things. Now, can you spend your time the way you want? If you are financially free, if you can, be sure that to maintain your current lifestyle, you will not run out of money at all anytime in your life. That's when you get that freedom to spend the time the way you want. Okay, so here is when we look at a passive income, which is your assets earning income for you, which is something that Robert Kiyosaki talks about. So your assets should earn income for you so that you don't have to spend your time and energy working just to earn money. Okay, so passive income potential of your assets vis-a-vis your expenses. So if you have enough passive income coming from your assets that can meet all of your expenses and keep meeting your expenses for the rest of your life, that is when you know you're financially free. Does that make sense? Your passive income meeting your annual expenses and staying there that way, growing in a way that beats inflation, staying there that way is that state of financial freedom. That's what we call as nirvana, right? So that's when you can hang up your boots, you can do whatever, you can show middle finger to your boss, doesn't matter, right? So that's your moment of truth. Now, how do you get there, right? Everybody starts somewhere. So typically when people come in and they say, I can't afford to even take a month off. That's where I started. I'm sure most of us started. Living paycheck to paycheck. You have assets, very little assets. There's absolutely no passive income coming at all. Every pie is dependent on you putting your time and energy out there, right? So at that point, your net worth is less than 3 years of your annual expenses. You're pretty much struggling. And that's when the focus is on building emergency funds and managing your risks and paying off the loans. Okay. So the next stage is where you've started building some wealth. You've got onto that habit of putting money aside, and you've started your net worth is anywhere between 3 to 10 times of your annual expenses. You can get some random interest from somewhere, some dividend from somewhere, but it's just a trickle. You can't really rely on it. You have some money, but that's the point where you can't retire. You're not financially free, but in case you want to reprioritize, you want to just step back, take a couple of months off, and recalibrate yourself, or go maybe study something and come and reevaluate your priorities. That's something that you can do, but you can't retire. Okay. That point, we are looking at getting loan free, with saving systematically towards various targets in life. Okay. The next stage is when your passive income potential is increasing because your assets are increasing, and so are your expenses. Your expenses are also increasing. They're both moving parts, right? So your net worth is anywhere between 10 to 25 times of your annual expenses. You're getting some steady stream of passive income, which is good. Okay. So that's a stage where you can retire if you want to, but you're not so financially free that you can go out and spend whatever you want. You still have to maintain your budget. You still have to keep expenses in control, which is good, which is not a bad situation to be in, but there is a better situation that you can be in, right? At that stage, you consolidate and you invest smartly, you ring fence, and you take care of your assets. At the final stage is where the freedom stage, whereas there is the flood of passive income coming and there are no worries. Okay, so your assets will outlast you. You will leave behind a lasting legacy. There's no problem. That's when you're pursuing self-actualization goals. You look at contribution, what kind of legacy, what kind of succession and estate planning you can do. So interventions at different points are different in your journey to financial freedom. But by now, you'd have some sense of where you are right now and what you should be focusing on, and what you can look forward to at the next stage. Right? What brings you to this stage won't necessarily take you to the next stage. So that's something that you have to understand. Right? So is this making sense to you? This is the financial freedom roadmap for working professionals, and something that we feel very strongly about. We help our clients to. So I'm happy to share all of this to you. Is this making sense to you? Do you have any thoughts here? Right? So usually when people are looking at fixing their financial life, right? So there are a few stumbling blocks. You guys are here and you're here in this webinar. You've stuck around for the last 45 minutes, heard me talk, right? But if you want to be taking some action or actually see your financial life get better, there are a few stumbling blocks, right? The number one stumbling block is that you don't know what to do. Okay. Now, some things that you should do, right? You should know, you manage your cash flows and your investments. That's great. The next one is that you don't do anything. This next thing, you don't do it, right? Knowing something and doing something, two very different things. So unless you do something, even if you don't know it all, even if you do a little bit, that will take you a really long distance. And the third big stumbling block is when you don't do it consistently. It's like building a bridge halfway. It doesn't take you to that end. You're just stuck there. You've already spent the time and the energy and the money there, but it's stuck there. So not keeping with the plan or not sticking on to the decisions that you make, that is another big stumbling block that stops people from going all the way. So if you're asking me, how is it that some people are getting richer and richer, and how is it that some people are not? So these are stumbling blocks that come between the ones who do it and get there and the ones who don't. They constantly reading, researching, but not doing anything. And some people who are starting to do something don't stay consistent with it. But that's not you. I hope it's not you. All right. So you here in this webinar, you decided on a Saturday afternoon to come turn up here and learn something new about your money, and you've done the first thing of, okay, let me understand what needs to be done. Now, if you don't want to be amongst the most people, which you're not because you've turned up here, if you want to be in the other side of the doers, the ones who want to get ahead, I mean, I make mistakes along the way, that's fine. But unless I make 1-2 mistakes, how will I even get ahead? Right? So if you're the one person who likes to get ahead, is it okay if I share something that you can do to get ahead? Is that all right? I'm just asking for permission. Is it okay if I share what you can do now that you've learned certain things that others are doing to get ahead? Can I share how you can get ahead? Is it okay if I share something with you? Yeah, I just like to hear, I just need your permission to be able to upsell something. Yeah, okay, okay. Great, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this, that you're keen to know what you can do. So you mean whenever you take a decision, you can either choose to go the slow way, right? Make your mistakes yourself. If every mistake put you back to 3 years, you can go slowly, no problem. Just that, life doesn't last forever, right? So I have this example that I like to say, right? So the end time, age ka end, your life ka end is here, and you are here. Okay, and you've come some distance, of course, and life is happening, right? So children are going to school, and loans are happening, EMI is happening, something or the other, COVID is happening, jobs are lost. So, but what what we think? We think life is moving like this, as if your end date also is moving along. No, it's not. Okay, only you moving. You're going to hurtle down to that end date. So life is not a rehearsal. You don't get second chances. You can go very slow here if you want, or you can quickly make progress because there's somebody to help or somebody to share knowledge, right? So I want to share something that we do here at Plan to Prosper, which is build your own financial plan. Okay, we big fans of financial planning. We're financial planners ourselves. We charge reasonable money to do financial planning for our clients. But here we want to be helping you build your own financial plan. And this is an online course that we're launching. It's not the first time we're launching. There's the 3-4 batches that I've already run, but the next batch starts on 15th of August. So in case you'd like to know more about that course in the next 10-15 minutes, in the next 5-10 minutes, I'm going to be sharing some more about building your own financial plan. Right? So in this this is an online course, meaning to say live sessions are there, and then there will be some recorded sessions by some guests. We largely try and cover all that we discuss now, which is the cash management piece, which will be module 1, where you learn how to earn additional income. What are the resources that you have? How can you convert them into assets? And how can you look at your expenses without reducing the fund? And how can you build a self-sustaining cash flow system? Tools, calculators, perspective, and guidance are provided for you to get your cash management piece in control. The next module, we look at risk management. We tear down existing insurances. We understand various risks, not just insurances. Insurance is not the only answer for managing risk. There could be other answers as well. So how can you choose the risk management, best risk management strategy, and how much of each insurance do you need? What is the ideal premium? If you have existing insurance, how do you make a decision to keep them or dump them? So risk management is another very important section that we do. And investment framework, of course. So we do a crystal ball gaze into the future that tells you, okay, what are various expenses that are coming up? And so how should you invest? How do you build the asset allocation? How do you choose products within each asset class? How do you build a timing framework, right? So the investment decision framework, and what are things that you can do, little things that you can do to improve returns on your portfolio, right? So this is a very interesting session that happens. And the last one is a goal-based financial planning session, where we put all of this together. So in the next 10 years, critical goals that are coming. How is your bucket going to do? Will you run out of money? Will you be okay? And what are very important strategies that you can take to correct the situations, right? So your journey to financial freedom, depending on where you are, and what are building blocks of a successful financial plan. So a lot of calculators and tools and support and help is along the way, something that's coming along the way, right? There are some guest sessions that we have included now. One on loan management, which we realize is an important part. We didn't do it in the previous batches. And derivatives to optimize, which is another something that I love doing. I think these are very interesting, opportunities available if you understand them well. So it's only for the open-minded, okay? So, and succession planning, which of course is a very critical part. So these are guest sessions, which we would have recorded sessions, right? So this is something that's getting covered, and they are live sessions. So we will have other people on the batch, and you can ask your question. And I wouldn't call them a course. It's more like a workshop, because it's something that you have to do. You learn, you do, and then you grow. Okay, so I mean, I'm very keen to see progress happening at the end of the course, which is more important. So when we start off, we understand where you are right now. The end of it, when we get on a strategy call, we understand how far you've gotten and what you can do to get better, right? So I mean, I'm making this very clear to all of you. This course is not for everyone. It's only for those people who think that they like to take control of their life. They think the destiny is in their hands. They like to be in control. They're willing to experiment. They're open-minded. They're willing to do and get ahead. Okay, it's a do-it-yourself course. So you're willing to do it, and people who feel that, I am the master of my soul, I'm the captain of my soul, whatever. Okay, so this course, so I mean, obviously you should be wondering what does it cost. So there are live online sessions, then there are tools and worksheets that will help you create your own framework and plan. A lot of these tools available, but the point is with these tools, understanding how to use those tools, understanding the assumptions that you have to make in building those, using those tools, and special guest sessions on support topics, right? So all of this is the worth 13,997 rupees. I mean, frankly, I don't want to put a value to this at all, because I think if you can save yourself from making some of the key mistakes that I've made in my life, or most people make in their life, that would save you lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But just putting the hours that go behind it and the cost for all of it. But having said this, the value of this course is something like 14 odd thousand rupees. These are not normal times; they are really abnormal times, and money is a constraint. And you really want to get ahead. This is not my mainstay business, right? I mean, I'm a financial planner. I have clients whose assets we manage. But so we said, let's go crazy. Let's give it at a price that is good. So price for this course, if you sign up now, if you go online and sign up is 77% off, and your price would be 2,499 only. So in 2 weeks, so sessions happen August 15th. So we're starting a new batch 15th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd. Sessions will happen 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon, same time, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. So 2 weeks, and you get some access. You'll have tools, you'll have assignments to do along the way. You get access to guest sessions, and in 2 weeks, it's an opportunity to just change many things in your life and get ahead on that journey. Make that first step on that journey to financial freedom. Okay, I'm not saying this is the be all and end all, but this is the first step you could take to the beginning of a wealthy life, right? And we just thought, okay, we make it even more easy for those of you who like to take action. I'm a big action believer. If you take action, I love you, right? So if you, just to ensure that you take action, or for people who want to take action, there's a special offer of another 500 rupees. So you actually get something which is for 1,999 rupees, which is pretty much like a dinner for two. You go out and have dinner, that's how much it'll cost. Now you could pretty much change your financial life. And I want you to take action on this. On the link, and you can click, and you get you to make this opportunity, make use of this opportunity, and do it, right? So this is your best chance to start. It's not something that we're doing. The last batch got over sometime in May. We're doing now in August. So I don't know when the next batch is coming, or will it come at the same pricing. But if you want to take action, if you think this is making a lot of sense to you, I would slightly gently push you to take action. Please do it. So this is some feedback from our previous sessions. They found it very useful, great sessions, and the team, and right. So these are some very interesting feedbacks. So it's somebody from a non-financial background, great work, thanks a lot, right? So we've had people come in and attend these sessions. So you can listen to what Nitya has.
Hi, Nitya Anand, Strategic Business Head of a Cybersecurity Software company called Raksha Technologies. I'm from a non-finance background, and I came across this webinar through my friend's recommendation, and I joined the webinar, and I was impressed from the first session, and I went ahead and joined the course, and it was so explanatory, and right from first session I started understanding the concepts. And my first key learning is how to read my insurances, and how should I select the right fit. And my second learning is that how to separate the money into each jar for each goal. And I'm very happy to say that from financial literacy, I've gone ahead with this course, and on a strategic call, I could devise my own financial plan, and that was the day for me. Thanks to you, Bhavana. And whoever has a chance to go for this course, please go ahead. And whether you are a financial illiterate or a financial expert, there is a lot to learn. It perspective. Thanks once again.
So Nitya is a friend from Chennai, and I mean, she's very kind. She was one of the most excited participants in that batch, and she's very kind to say such things. But I mean, that's the kind of difference that we've made in people's life where they come from whatever backgrounds, right? So the journey to financial freedom is very simple. You sign up, and then you don't access the material. You actually get access to the pre-session activities that you have to do. You get the link to join the sessions, and then you receive feedback, and then you move ahead, right? So I'm just repeating this for you. There are online sessions, then there is there are tools, and then there's a closed group. So sign up before the webinar ends, and you get a special price of 1,999. I really hope you'll make use of this. And I want to make this very clear to you. If this session isn't making sense, I mean, frankly, this is not some money making. Unless you pay money, you don't take me seriously. So that's why this is. We could give it like just like that. But if this doesn't make sense to you, I attended all your 4 sessions, Bhuvna. I attended all the guest sessions. This made no sense to me. I did all the exercises, but I want my money back. You get your money back. I have no problems with it. So there's 100% money back guarantee. So there's no risk at all. And this is like an opportunity for you to get ahead. And I really want more and more people becoming financially free, that being my primary objective. So you can sign up now and unlock value worth, I don't know how much, but whatever, lot of peace and happiness, right? So your chance to financial freedom is loading. I'm repeating, batch starts on 15th of August, 15th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd will be the sessions. Sessions will happen between 3:30 and 5:30. And, 3:30, 5:30, a good time, even if you're from Dubai, from Philippines, or wherever you are from, it might make just a lot of sense for you to be available at that time. So Saturday, Sunday, give a weekend, couple of hours in the weekend for just 2 weeks, and attempt a change in your financial life. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And here is your chance to embark on your journey towards financial freedom. Right? This is a little thought that I want to leave you with.
Hello. Hi.
Yes, hi, Anand.
Hi. So what kind of things you are going to teach us?
So like I said, there are 4 modules, 1 module on cash management, and 1 module on investments, 1 on risk management, and the goal-based financial planning. So you get an access to how goal-based financial planning happens, how do you put all your goals out there, how do you look at your existing assets, how do you align your existing assets to goals, and whether you have enough money, what can you do. So putting the goal-based financial plan together, this is the do-it-yourself course. So you get access to tools. And in the online sessions, we help you how to use those tools. You could ask questions, you can do the exercises, and come back and share feedback. Then there are, of course, some guest sessions on loans and derivatives and succession planning. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So that link there has a little more information. So you can just click on there. It has a little more information. So so feel free to drop a message if you need to. The link has the phone numbers, the email IDs, and all of it as well. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So I hope it was a worthwhile 1 hour for you. I enjoyed talking to you very much. And I really wish you take that decision to get ahead in your life. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. And thank you very much for being there with us this afternoon. And have a great weekend. Bye-bye.